Hello all, welcome to Java Talent. In this today video tutorial, I'm going to cover microservice patterns. So basically, which is circuit breaker. So I'm just going to cover it through the circuit breaker with Spring Boot. So let's discuss the things like what is circuit breaker pattern first. So circuit breaker, like you heard about the patterns, which is means you have already heard about the circuit breakers in our daily life, electronic items, correct? So they are supposed that simply it will it will break the electric flow in an unexpected scenario. So you all are aware that. So similar way here in our microservices communication, service is communicating between the two services, and then let's take a simple scenario like, so if two services is communicating to each other, so service A is calling service B, and which seems to be API call to get means to get the some informations which first service is needed from the second service. Okay, so let's see A service and B service. So A service required some information from B service, and due to some issue, B service is down. It might be infrastructure outage, it might be database outage, or it might be network connectivity. So in this scenario, what happen is service A is not getting the result, and it will be hang out by throwing an exceptions. So, and in the same time, if another request comes to the service A, it also faces the same issue, same situations. So like this request threads will be blocked until the service B is coming up. Means first service A service will not give the success response as expected response whenever the service B will not be coming up. So which is a result like network resources will be exhausted with low performances. So we can say that bad user experience. So to cascade these failures, so that such type of circuit breakers, this scenarios, we can use this circuit breaker pattern to solve this problem. So in this case, like if multiple requests came and it will be not falling down from the second service, so we can just response back to the user that the service is down or some user defined message. So the life cycle of the patterns state is like there is the three main states, which is closed, open, and half open. So closed state is nothing but when both services which are interacting to each other are up and running, the circuit breaker is closed. Means circuit breaker is counting the number of remote API calls continuously, but circuit breaker will continuously count the number of remote API calls. But if the status is closed, that means our API is communicating to each other in perfect manner. So open state is like as soon as percentage of failing remote API calls is exceeding the given threshold time. So we have to give the some properties threshold time, and then if that threshold time it will be exceeded for our remote API calls, then circuit breaker changes its state to open state. Means calling microservice will fail immediately, and unexpected exceptions will be returned back. That means we can say that our flow is interrupted. And half open state is like after staying at a open state for a given timeout period, breaker automatically turns its state into half state. Means it will try to call the same API to pass the throughput. But if the failing calls count is greater than this limited number, breaker turns again into the open state. Otherwise, if that response will be coming back again in a smoothly manner, then it will be closed. So if you see here in the diagram, the closed status is green, like we are getting a response in perfect manner. But when the number of remote calls failure percentage, which we will give it as a property file, so given is greater than the given threshold time, that means our API, our circuit breaker is open. That means it is not going to be communicate further. And after some time of period, means after some time out period, if our state will become automatically half open. So if the limited number of calls are failing, again it will go to the open state. But if number of limited calls are succeeded, then it will again go back to closed state. Means our communication will be happen smoothly. So in this tutorial, I'm going to use Spring Boot with Resilience4J, which is the lightweight, easy to use fault tolerance library It is inspired by Netflix Historics, and it provides the various features like circuit breaker, fault tolerance, rate limiter, block too many requests, time limiter, limit time while calling remote operations, retry mechanism, bulkhead, cache, etc. So let's start with our practical approach. I'm not going to take much time on theoretical portion. So let's start with creating a two microservices. Uh, First is like loan microservice, which will be going to take the rate from the rate services. So I'm going to create the two microservice, which is loan microservice and then rate microservice. So rate of interest we will be calling from the another microservices for our loan service. Okay. So let's start and create our first means our loan microservice will communicate to rate microservice, but I am just going to create first rate service because it is independent. There we just need to calculate the rate of interest, and that rate of interest we will be calling from the our loan service. So let's start. You can use your any ID for this project. I am using the Eclipse. So I'm just going to create the new project, which is a Spring Boot project. And I'm just going to create a Spring Boot circuit breaker. My first will be rate service, and here I will give the name as rate service. What are the dependency I have to use here, I will let you know. So I have just taken one example and screenshot that you can just refer. What is the basically starter we need to add for our this project? So let me add the Lombok S2 database. I'm just going to store that rate of interest into the S2 database in memory database, and Spring Boot actuator is not required here. Spring Web as RESTful web services I am going to create. So if you see that Lombok, Spring Data JPA, S2 database, and Spring Web. So Spring Data JP. So these are the four dependency what basically I need here for our rate services. So let's start. It will create a Spring Boot project for us, and we can start writing the code there. Okay, let's see. My rate service is done. So if you see the pom.xml file, so most probably you can compare what are the dependency we have added. So same that has been configured here. Spring Web, Starter Web, Data JPA, and S2 database, and Lombok API. So these are the dependency what we have added in our project. So let's start creating the packages, and then I will go ahead and write the code. Okay. So let me first create the package. com dot java talent dot entity for our entity class. Com dot java talent for controller class. For service class, service package, and one is repo package for repository. That's it. And what are the configurations we need to add? So let's open the properties file. So here some configuration we need to add. If you see here Spring Boot, it has taken the name. So spring.application.name as default it has been taken. So I'm going to give it as rate service as the name. I want this server to be run on server.port 8000. Let it be 9000. Okay. So now I have to add some configurations for our S2 database. So I have the copy of that, and then that we can call out here. So let me copy and paste. I have taken the notes. So okay, so let me delete. Okay, so first part is spring.application.name, our application name, server port, in which port we are going to run these applications, and these are the configurations for our S2 database, S2DB. So S2 database is like spring data source.url, jdbc colon s2 colon mem colon cb hyphen loan db. So this is my rate service. So let me create the circuit breaker, cb circuit breaker rate database. So this is our instance name, schema name, and console. This is going to be create your s2 console. This will enable the s2 console for you, that's so that you can just go it through the browser. And this is the username and password, that what I'm just giving as configurations, that what you have to use. And this is our driver class name, and this is the jpa data sql query, that at spring.jpa.sosql, so that our query will be shown onto the console. And this is the dtl auto commit, like you can see, like there is the multiple options, like create drop, none, update, and validate. So create drop, I am just going to use it as like it will create my schema, it will create my table and all, and then after my termination of the project program, it will delete that configuration. So, and this is my hibernate delete for our s2 database. So now my configuration is ready. So let's start with our creating the entity class first, but because you know that like what the entity class I have to use. So let me create the entity class as rate. Okay, so I'm just going to use some builder things here. So our it will be create the lombok getter, setter, and all. At the rate all again constructor, at the rate no arg constructor, at the rate entity. So it will create my table name as rate, and at the rate table you want to specify your table name explicitly, so that you can just pass the parameter as, one second, make sure you are importing the correct package, at the rate table, and parameter is name. So what the basically table names, if the table name you want to be the same, you do not need to pass it explicitly. If you want to change the table name, you can just give it as it. Now I'm just going to create one entity which is id, integer id, and this will be my primary key, so I need to annotate it with at the rate id. I just wanted to use the generations mechanisms here, so generated value. I'm just going to follow the strategy. Hibernate strategy is there, so hibernate strategy is equal to generations type dot identity. So it will create the id value for you automatically, and now I have to take it as a string type, which type of basically loan, which type of loan it is, and then rate value, double rate value. So rate value column I am just going to give as name, some name. Rate column I'm just going to give it as rate. So this table is rates and the column name is rate. I'm just going to give it as, and then I'm going to create one more package. Actually I'm just going to create one more package for my repository. Okay, for repository it is already there, so do not need to create repository. I'm going to create the class, but better to go with the interface, that interface, so that we can just use the existing features of that repository. So I'm just going to create rate repository, and I'm just going to use JPA repository so that we can use the JPA repository features here. So here we need to specify the object of that particular entity class, so which is nothing but our rate, and ID is integer. Whatever the ID you have taken, you can just specify here. Okay, so that's it. So rate, one second, it is not rate, it is RAT. So let me rename the name of that. Okay, so my rate repository is ready, and here I just wanted to create one customized method so that I can use my own request response. Find by type. Based on the type, I just wanted to find the rate. Java.util.optional API. So this API I'm just going to use here. My repository is ready. Now I'm going to create my service class, which is rate service. Okay. So for my repository class, I have to annotate this class as @repository so that it will become a component, and then our Spring Boot will create the bin for it. And here this is service class, so @service annotations I am going to use. Here I need to auto wire that repository. So our repository is rate repository. Okay, so that is fine. Here let me do it private, and then public rate get rate by type. I'm just going to create one method, string type. Okay, so it will return the rate repository dot find by type, nothing but our type. And I just wanted to show if it is fine, or else I'm just going to throw the exception, or else throw exceptions. So I'm just wanting to throw the runtime exception. And I'm just giving the some customized message here, rate not found, or else rate not found for which rate. Oh sorry, type here. Okay, so for this type, if not found, then I'm going to throw the exception. Okay, our service class is ready. Then go over the controller and create the controller, rate controller. So here we need to annotate this class with that REST controller, and here we need to auto wired our service. Okay, now I need to create the mapping of my API. So one second, here I did the mistake. I just wanted to give one request mapping annotations, which is my mapping request mapping for my API. I'm just going to give it as API, and I'm just going to create one get method, which is nothing but public response entity of rate get rate by type, and type I'm just going to give it as @ path variable, which is string type, and here you can pass the type. Okay, so let me return the service call get read by this one. Okay, so I'm just returning the rate response. So one second. So for this one, before of this, I just return this one as body. Okay, so response entity dot. Okay, I have to state the status, and then I will do that as body. Okay, so that it will go for my body. Okay, okay, response entity of rate get rate by this one. What we are doing here, response entity. Okay, sorry, here it will be our then rate service call, rate service dot get one, this one by type. Fine, perfect. Now I have to give the @ get mapping call here. What I am going to use the get method. So get mapping of path slash rates slash parameter of that type. Fine. So this is my controller. So now my controller is ready. If you run this API, you are able to get the type, but I'm just wanting to create some rate from my application itself, means from my entry point. I just wanted to create two types of loan two type of rate basically for my loan applications. Okay, so means once my service is running, I just wanted to create two loans. So let's see. In my main class, if you see here, in my main class, I'm just going to get that repository, and then out whenever my application is running, I will create that data into the database. Fine. Private rate repository. Okay, and if you see here, and I'm just going to use something, so you can just make sure the attention is here, like what I'm doing here, @ post construct. So this is one method. Okay, so which will be going to use utilized for get the data for you, public void. So I'm just going to set up the data for my application, so it will be automatically set some dummy data for me. So if you see the post construct, what it is saying is the method on which the code post construct annotated applied may be public protected and must be annotated. So if you see the use case on the method that needs to be executed after dependency injection is done to perform some any initialization. So that is the initialization I want. I just wanted to invoke some of the data from my database whenever my application is executing. Okay, so rate repository dot save all, rate repository dot save all, arrays dot as list. I just wanted to insert some list, nothing else. Here I want, that's why I have given the rate as on the top of that builder, at that builder, if you remember, builder dot id. I just wanted to give some id here, dot type. What is the type? Personal loan or whatever it is, and then rate value, I wanted to give the rate value as 10 build. So this will create one value for me, one value. Now I want the another value, just copy and paste. So here I want rate of interest as 8, and this is for my housing loan. Personal loan 10% and housing loan 8%. So this is the two data what I want to be stored into my database. That's it. Whenever I will run my applications, so it will go there and insert this record for me. So let's see, like if you run my applications, you can see that the value will be stored into the, I am just changing my JRE as 17 because I just cross checking here. So let's see, if you run this application, you most probably able to hit the endpoint of this controller, and then you will be able to get the rate of interest. Okay, I think this one is running a bit different. Okay, it is not our application. So let me go to main class. From there I will run it. Let's see, run configuration. I just wanted to cross check JRE. Run on SpringBoot. Okay, no problem. This is expected error because my JRE is not correctly set up, so I need that JRE to be 17th because I am using the 17th version. Okay, so it will run your application and you most probably able to see the data in your database. So see, it is showing that query on to the console due to that that properties. So SQL, this one. Okay, so let's go there and check. Okay, let's see the console. 1 second. Okay, so if you see here, let's see. First, it is trying to drop that table if it is exist because we have chosen that way. Create table rates. See, rate table is created and it is inserted. First, it is querying the query for that particular value. It is inserting the rates. See, update rates at this one, and this is the what we are expecting. If you run this console, in which local host you are running your things, local host, I think we have taken 9,000 and S2 console. So most probably you are able to see the S2 database console. See, so we have given the root as username and password, and here my instance will be cb -rate -db. So if you connect this one, see, my rates table is created, and if you 1 second, Why? Huh. So if you hit this one, see, okay, only one it has been created. Why? It has created 8.1 or 2.0 housing one only. Let's see. Spring Boot this one. Arrays dot as list post construct. We are good here. Okay. Ret repository dot save all arrays dot as list. We are passing that ret dot builder id. Oh, okay, got it. So we need to change the id for housing. What it is doing is it is doing that's why we have seen the we have seen that value. See, update rates sets rates. That's why I was supposed to that, like why it is stating like that way. So let's run once again, and then we were able to see there is no any update statement. It will run, it will create the two records into the database, and that should be fine. See, create table, drop table if it exists, and then create table, and it will insert the two records. See, one insert and second insert. Fine. So now we can cross check through the console as well. No need to refresh, just if you refresh this part, most probably it should work. Oh, it is because we have just disconnected from our application, that's why it happened. See, rate of interest for 10 personal and 8 for housing. So this rate of interest API we will call from our loan API, where we need to implement our circuit breaker things. So let's go ahead and stop this application for now, and then let's create one more application which is nothing but oh, I do not show you that. One second, I haven't show you that, like whether our API is working or not from the controller perspective. So our API call is like rates and the type, what the type we are supposed to give. So let's run this. Localhost add 000 API loans, type is personal, and then that one. Let's see if my application is running. Okay, that's good. See, localhost API personal, so you most probably get the response. Okay, okay, API loans, not loans, API rates, it should be rates type is equal to personal or housing. No, why it is not coming? Because what is the 9,000? Oh man, we have given 9,000 and type is personal. It is capital, not found. API rates. Why it is question? Sorry. API rates and then housing, or so if you type that housing, see, we are getting the response as 8%, and if you type personal, you will get the 10. Correct. So our rate API is working fine, rate service, and then this service we will call from our loan service, which we will implement soon. So let me close this application and let's create one more. Now I'm going to create one more applications, Spring Boot, and here I am going to use loan service, and from there we will implement our circuit breaker. And for our this part in dependency injection, what additional apart from the existing one, what we have to use? Let's see. Lombok adds to database, actuator, Spring Data JPA, Spring Wave, and one more, most important, Resilience, search. You can search it, Resilience4J. So these are the all the dependency what I have to add, and our loan service will be set up. Okay, let's see. Not that one, our loan service is this one. So I will just go ahead and copy the same properties from my rate service, because just modification I have to do there. Okay, so this one will be my loan service. It should run on 8000 port. In memory, database configuration will be same, and then Hibernate configuration will also be same. Apart from that, what additional configuration we need to use it related to circuit breaker. Okay, so related to circuit breaker, these are the configurations what I have to use. Let me describe it for now. So if you see that registered health indicator, so it will register your health indicator for your case, like what are the means this will be our loan service, so that's why this name I have taken instances. For this instances we are going to implement our circuit breaker things, and register health indicator will be true, so that it will show your indicator. Failure rate threshold means what are the percentage by beyond that we wanted to be uh, break my entry point for my applications. And minimum number of calls, how many number of calls I just wanted before that threshold limit. Automatic transitions from open to half state, what should be true or false if it is enabled, so I am just wanting to get that. And wait duration in open state, how many duration you want, 5 seconds I have given. Permitted number of calls in half open state, it will be 3 I have given, and sliding window size I am given as 10, and then the sliding window type is count based. So this is the basically configurations that what we want for now. And some additional configuration as well required, which is to show the circuit breakers things onto the console, basically like status of my applications, whether it is giving the what number of times, what are the status. And if you see here, so details, like I'm just health endpoint, I'm just going to enable the health endpoint for my applications. I'm giving it as always, and this will be include the health endpoint. For my application, I am giving the circuit breakers dot enable as true, so that that health endpoint enable my circuit breaker details onto the health status. So that is fine. From the configuration side, let's start the development. Now I need to create the packages. Let's create quickly. com.java talent dot controller. Same as packages, similar things we have to create for this one as well. Dot service com.java talent dot repo com.java talent dot entity, and one more repository we have done. Any additional controller repository service, I think we are good, isn't it? Okay, entity, and let's create one DTO layer. So I just wanted to clarify our DTO will be different than entity. So this is used to convert the response coming from the rate service for the API call, and since it is the type of the rate, same rate service rate entity class will be omitted from our ORM things. So same class like interest rate, I just wanted to give that name of the DTO class, and then I will go ahead. Okay, so let's create our entity class first. So our entity class will be loan, and let's do a copy paste for fast execution so that we can easily. So all the annotations, just copy and paste here, as this is also the entity class. Only the difference will be here, like I just wanted to table name as loans here for the loan. Okay, and for the rate, let's see what are the details we need to use. So ID I am taking as same, generation type will be same. Here ID I am taking as ID and string type, and then amount, basically what amount I'm just going to give it as double, and interest, this is nothing but interest. Remove this column name, that's it. ID type amount interest, correct. These are all the details I just wanted to return, and that interest value will come from the rate interest API, rate service API. Okay, so let's see, our loan class is ready, and then I'm just going to create the DTO. Let's do interest class. Okay, class, it will be our interest rate. So here I'm just providing the data annotations so that I can use the value from it, and then all or constructor and no works constructor. Fine. And what are the value? I will use integer ID. What are the value we are getting, correct, from the rate? So ID type, and just like a mapping things, like whatever the data we are getting from the database and whatever the data we are mapping to the our loan service. So these are the all details what we are getting from the DTS perspective from the rate service. Okay, now I need to create the repository class. So let's create the repository, and that should be our interface, and it is loan repository. Oh sorry, I forgot to extend it, so it should extends JPA repository, and here type will be loan, and primary part is integer. Let's import. Okay, so now I want the method as list of loan, which will return the list of loan find by type string type, that's it, java.util.list. Okay, our repository is ready. So to make our repository okay, so one second. So we need to annotate that at so now we have to create the controller. Controller is loan controller. So before controller, like let me create it, I will let you know. We need to inject the service, that's why I'm just little bit worried. And request mapping API, and we need to auto add our service class here. So let's create first the service class. Okay, so loan service, one second. I need to annotate this as service Okay. Make sure that to take attention here for this service class, because we are doing a lots of stuff here in this service, because we are calling our rate service microservice also. So be attention, like here I have to auto wired my repository, which is private loan repository, and here I am going to use the REST template use case. So REST template basically uh, this is the most important place, like REST, with the help of we need to call that API. So I'm using the REST template. You can use the other details as well. So get the percentage of the loan type, then we can calculate the interest amount as loan amount into the rate by 100 and update loan interest amount, so that we will update here, so that part will be auto wired REST template. So REST template, with the help of REST template we are going to call that method. That's it. Private some static variable I am creating, nothing else. Private static final string service underscore name for my loan service, and one additional will be, okay, let me do that way. Private static final string rate service URL, rate service. We need to provide the URL so that we can get that our rate service call. http://localhost 9000 slash API slash rates. Okay, so rate service URL is localhost 9000 API rates. Okay, so now let's create the method call public list of loan get all loans by type. Okay, so based on the type I just wanted to get all the loans, string type. Okay, so HTTP headers, okay, make sure that you are importing this HTTP headers from ORG Spring framework, not from the JavaNet. Okay, so HTTP headers is equal to new HTTP headers. Okay, and headers dot set content type media type dot which format, application.json, application underscore json. So that is the type of the content, and now I want to respond the response. So HTTP entity of interest. So HTTP response, so let's create the HTTP entity. HTTP entity is like interest rate of entity, and new HTTP entity, new HTTP entity with headers. Okay, so we are creating the one entity with headers. You can just ignore here, this type is not required as it is all automatically taken from here. And now I have to create the response entity. Response entity interest rate response is equal to rest template dot exchange rate service URL plus type, and then HTTP method dot get and entity. That's it. Or maybe the type it will expect. Okay, object type interest rate dot class. Fine. So make sure what you are calling and what you are getting here. So make sure that you are passing the same thing. Let me enter here so that you can just understand. Okay, so now we are good. And now what we are going to do is we are checking that interest rate here. Interest rate is equal to response dot get body, whatever the response we are getting from that application, and that rate list of loans, loan list is equal to new array list, new array list not needed here. Okay, if rate not equal to null, then we need to loan list is equal to loan repository dot find by type of this type. Okay, so in that list we are just adding that whatever the value we are getting from the repository, and for every loan list we need to set it loan dot set interest, that interest loan dot get amount into rate dot get rate value by 100. Okay, and then we have to return that list, nothing else. Just formatting it. Okay, this loan service name I have taken for the useful of that circuit breaker things, so that makes sure here we are not using for now, but yeah, we will definitely use it. Okay, so you will make sure that this is not currently reference here, but we will be using it. Okay, so our configuration is ready, and if I can go to my properties file here, Let's see if we have already converted all the properties. So okay, fine, and endpoint circuit breaker things, and then yep, we have enabled that circuit breaker. So first let's see, like if we are not enabling the circuit breaker things, then our application is working or not, just for sake. But if before of that some data I just wanted to inject at default for this application as well. So into the main class, let's see. Okay, so for the main class, let's see the same thing what we have done for our rate one. So three loan objects, when the service is running, I just wanted to add some three REST service here as well. So what are all the details I need to auto wired private loan repository auto wired only loan repository is enough, correct? Fine. I wanted the Spring Bean to create the bean of REST template after that. So let's see. Okay, so I wanted to create the bean. So bean public REST template REST template REST template. Okay, so return new REST template. That's it. So it will create the bean for us, and then I will do the same thing what we have done for our. So similar fashion, post construct, I will create the data here as well for my loan. So here it will be our loan repository dot save all, and arrays dot s. So now it will be loan dot builder dot what the id is 1, and personal, then amount I want as 2 lakh, and dot one more method is there, amount interest default interest I want as 0.0, that what we will getting from that API call build. So it will create one loan value, and let's create the second one, and then third one. I'm just copy pasting things, so nothing else. Okay, so first is personal and second one is housing. I want 60 lakh or 6 lakh, whatever. Make sure that 60 lakh, and interest that one, and then 10 lakh, and this will be my third ID. This is 2 ID. Personal, this is also personal. 2 personal, 1 housing. So let's run this application and see if this data is populating into the database and whatever we are getting. Run as a Spring Boot application. What is the okay, that is expected. My run configuration is always messed up, so alternate JRE 17 run. Drop table if exists, then creating the table of loans, and it inserted the 3 records, 1, 2 and 3. Let's see the database. So again we have to open the SG console, but it will be on 8000 port, localhost s2 console. Oh no, why? I think it is 900. Oh, we have given the both as 900, is that okay? Oh, okay. So no, I do not want to mess up that thing. So this will be our 8000 loan service from where we are executing. So run as Spring Boot. Now it is running on 8000. So perfect. Our this one is running on rate is running on 9000, and this one is running on 8000. So once my application is up, yeah, then we can see the database, and here it will be loan in place of this router ID and password. Okay, database loan db not found. Fine, actually we have not given that name as loan db, so sorry. Let's see. Once again I need to stop and restart the service, so bear with me, it will take some time to test it also, then you can understand the flow of circuit breaker. Really interesting. So now if you hit this one, oh, because I have not given the password, let's see. Oh, what is happening? Okay, now you can see like our loan is running, and you can most probably see the 3 rate of interest with that amount and that ID and type, and 2 personal loan we have given, one we have given as housing. But if you hit this API, really you will get the response. Yes, definitely. 8000 API loans. What it is? Controller, check the controller. Oh, nothing else. We need to implement it. Fine. Let's just implement that controller. In hurry, we missed it. So okay. So we have to take that service here, and auto wired loan service at the rate get mapping we have to do. But before of that, let's create method public response entity of list of loan, get loans by type, string type, what happened? Why it is? Okay, leave that. One second, something messed up. what is this? Okay, let's create that class. Oh, okay, so let's controller run service, and then I have to create one method public response entity of list of loan, get loans by type, string type, list loan, and then this one. Okay, and this will be my request param, and type, fine, and here it will be @ get mapping of loans, and controller @request mapping of API. Okay, so here it will return really uh, response entity dot okay dot body of type loan service dot get all loans by type. This. Okay, so I just wanted to get that's it. Import request parameter, that's it. If you want, you can put something like type dot to uppercase or lowercase. What is the uppercase means the type with whatever we are getting from the repository or service, it will be in uppercase. That's it. Let's run this project, and then you can see whatever you are getting. Most important part is circuit breaker, so beware with me. So I will let you know that all the steps we will cover, not an issue. All the 3 state I will cover, and then I will show you how it will be behaving. So if you hit this endpoint, see localhost 8000 or 9000, what it is. It is 8000. Okay, loans type, what is the problem? Connection refused. Okay, got it. Because that RED service is not working, we are getting connection refused from the RED service. Because that RED service we are calling, if you see error on get request for this one, REDS API, connection refused, connection with root cause. So this is what we are expecting, and in that situations we will go with the circuit pattern. But before of that, let's see the actuator endpoint. Localhost 8080 actuator, if you see. Okay, why application is running? Actuators also should be so, yeah. So if you see here, now actuator is showing a status, and if you see the health, this is why we have enabled the circuit breakers things. So if you see circuit breakers state is closed, I will let you know one by one how this state will be up and closed and what is the behavior. So make sure that our API is working fine. So let me stop this service because I wanted to run the rate service first. Go to the rate service, start rate service. Now we can able to run our loan service. So that loan service will call my rate service to find out the rate of interest. Now I am running my loan service. If you see the instance, my both the service is up and running. I will show you. See, my all the both service is running, and from here also you can see. So see, Spring Boot rate service is also running, and then loan service is also running. So now if I hit the endpoint, this endpoint, I will get the response. See, personal, for this personal there is the two records, type 1 ID1 and ID2, and if you type housing you will get one record. See, and this interest rate will be calculating based on that 8% of this 60 lakh, because housing it is, and if it is personal it will be calculating based on the 10%. See, fine. So we are good till here. In the success response we are good, and if you see the endpoint, it is close status, and then all the thing is fine. Now let's start the testing one by one. What is the scenario of testing? First I will go with the closed state because this is what we are expecting as for the success scenario. Now let's test with the one by one. So fallback method, I have to introduce the fallback method and then the circuit breaker things. That what I have just missed it. So if you open this loan service, in the service I have not introduced anything for the our circuit breaker. So here in the actual call, this is my actual call for this method. So here I will type circuit breaker, my circuit breaker name. So my circuit breaker name is nothing but this service name. So this is my circuit breaker name. Okay, and fallback method, if you see there, fallback method is there, and that fallback method I will going to create, get default loans. So this is the one method that what we will create in case of any failure. It will go here and respond it to the actual things. So this method I will need to create. Okay, so let's create this method. So within this one, after this method I will create this method. So public, I'm just returning the list as empty list lawn, get default loans. Method names should be same, it might throw the exceptions, and I'm just returning the new array list of empty list. I am returning. Let's print some message. New array list of loan. Okay, I do not need to return anything here. New loan, I can return new loan as well, no problem, but I need to pass all the value, correct? Type and all. Let's see, I will just return the new empty list, nothing else for that method. So if my rate API is down, I will get the empty list and then I will go ahead. So I have added this one. Okay, this configuration. So most probably when this rate service will call, this will go here, circuit breaker, check whether the circuit breaker falls or not, and that case will be go ahead. I stop my both the service. Let it stop once again. So in that case, like I have given the circuit breaker here, so in that case if my rate service is not running, in that case also I will not get any error. It will take that default value as 0% and it will give the response. Let's see. So my API is running here, I was getting the response, but see it should be interest in empty list. See, this is empty list, but my actual call will be going there in our fallback method. If you can debug some printer, you can put some debugger, and you most probably see that. Let's see, by printing some message, system dot out dot print. Okay, one second. Println some message, dummy message. Fallback method called. Let's see. Rerun the application. See the response so that you can understand our rest fallback method is calling now, because that is fail, that is failing. I will let you know that like how it is behaving. So okay, in the body we are responding always that list, but in the console you can see, have you pay attention there? Where is my console? Okay, see, I will fix it here. Not here, only here I will need to fix. Okay, so see, I have just pressed 5 times, so that's why it is showing. But yep, now method, my fallback method is calling. So actual circuit breaker concept is not this one. Let's see that actual things. See, I will go one by one, not this one. Let me actuator health. So leave about this one, circuit half open and all. I will give you the status correctly. If you are running both the applications, we are in the success scenario, fine. And if you this one will not give you anything. So let's run both the application, and then I will show. My both application is up and running. Okay, so if you type this one actuator endpoint, you will see that we are good, means we are in a, see, make sure that failure rate is this one, failure threshold rate is 50%, whatever the configuration we have. Buffered call is 0. We are worried about this buffered call and then failed calls. Okay, so but state is closed right now. Now hit the API 2 times. This API, which one? Loan API. So this is my loan API. If you hit this one, we will get the response. So okay, but hit this API 2 times and see what is the response. Now see, I have hit the API 2 times, and it is saying that buffered call is 2 times. Make sure that you can show from there. See, 2 times our record has been came. Okay, so that's why our buffered call is 2 now. Let's go ahead. Now stop the rate service. Now I have stopped this rate service. Let's see, loan service, rate service. This is console from my rate service. This is from loan service. Okay, so let me stop it. So I have stopped the rate service. Okay, but my still loan service is running. Now see, now our circuit breaker will be in. Okay, and then first we have stopped it. Okay, and then API, I need to hit the API 3 times. See, 3 times failure. So but I will get the response as null, I know. But what happened? 2 times previous call, 3 times this time. So now in that time buffer call will become how many times? 2 times earlier, 3 times just now I have hit it in the failure scenario. So in that case it should be 5. 1 second, and my status will become half open. Okay, because it is expecting to be the 60%, more than 60% now. See, now see that, see, 3 times we have given the response. Our circuit is open, state is open, because it has been threshold the limit. Failed calls is 3, not permitted calls. Now if you hit once again, see, circuit is still open. Now if I can go ahead and then restart my rate service. Okay, now if I will circuit half open. Okay, so wait for timeout. 5-second time we have given, threshold timeout. See, 5 second we have given for our duration in open state. Means in open state how many seconds my application will be available. So circuit is status is open, but wait for 5 seconds and then again hit the API. Then our state will go for again for half open. Let's hit the refresh this. See, circuit half open, it gone to half open. Buffered calls, every call is gone 0 because our circuit is half open. If I will hit once again this call, now count will increase here. See, 3 times I have given. Failure rate 100%, circuit is again open because my service is not up and running right now. And if I hit once again, our count will be there, but our circuit will be open because I need to wait again for 5 seconds to make my circuit is in half state. Let's wait for 5 seconds. Because in our case we have given 3 only, so failed calls will be 3 only. Now hit call API, see, 1 half open. Okay, now start that service, start it. If the service is again up and running, it will become close. Let's wait for the starting the service. 1 second. Okay, now state should be closed. Okay, okay, if I start the service, I need to hit that again 3 times, then my status will be again closed, because we have given the properties permitted number of calls in half open state. In half open state we need to give the 3 calls, then only my status will become closed again. See, now our status is closed. Okay, so this is what I just wanted to cover in today's videos tutorial. So you can just go through my channel and subscribe my channel and then enjoy your time. Yep, thank you.